There are things about the original Addams Family that most people never knew. Beyond the creepy old mansion and that instantly recognizable finger-snapping theme song, there lies a treasure trove of surprising secrets. Did you know the house was actually painted pink? Or that Lurch was never supposed to say a word? From a groundbreaking on-screen romance to a catchphrase born purely by accident, here are 10 fascinating facts about this iconic family that might just change the way you see them forever. 1. Carolyn Jones's transformation into Morticia. Let's talk about what it actually took for Carolyn Jones to become the unforgettable Morticia Addams. This was not a quick costume change. It was a major production, every single day. We are talking more than 2 hours in the makeup chair. Layer after layer of pale, ghostly foundation was carefully applied to achieve that signature Morticia pallor. Then came the dramatic eyes, thick black eyeliner that made those striking features pop, and those deep crimson lips to finish the look. But the real centerpiece was the hair, not some cheap wig. This was a long, flowing, jet black wig crafted from real human hair. And of course, there was the dress, a tight, figure-hugging black gown that gave the character her unmistakable elegance. Day after day, this process must have been exhausting, but Carolyn Jones never complained. She embraced it completely, transforming herself into the mysterious, graceful Morticia. That kind of dedication speaks volumes about her talent and her deep commitment to the role. 2. Gomez and Morticia, television's most unconventional couple. The Addams Family would not be what it is without Gomez and Morticia. Their relationship was unlike anything else on television in the 1960s. Forget the stiff, formal couples you saw on other shows.
Gomez and Morticia were passionate, fiery, and totally unlike anything audiences had seen before. John Astin's Gomez was absolutely smitten with Carolyn Jones's Morticia. The chemistry was electric. But here is something interesting. They never kissed on the lips. Not once. Instead, Gomez would shower Morticia with kisses on her arm, her hand, her cheek, adding a layer of mystery and sophistication to their already captivating dynamic. It was a deliberate creative choice, and it worked perfectly. For its time, it was genuinely revolutionary. A married couple on television, deeply and passionately in love, expressing that love in a way that was subtle and refined. They proved that romance did not need grand, over-the-top displays of affection to feel real and powerful. Their unique approach only made the bond between them more compelling and more memorable. 3. The dangerous secret hiding in Gomez's suit pockets. Gomez Addams was almost always seen with a cigar in hand. That seemingly small detail actually led to a rather interesting and somewhat alarming secret behind the scenes. John Astin had a habit of dropping his lit cigars into his suit pockets when he was done with them. You can imagine the potential for disaster. The wardrobe department knew this all too well, so they lined Gomez's suit pockets with asbestos to prevent accidental fires. It sounds almost unbelievable today. Back then, asbestos was a commonly used fire retardant material. We understand the dangers far better now, of course. Asbestos is a serious health hazard. This small story is a striking example of just how different safety standards were in that era, and it offers a fascinating, if slightly unsettling, glimpse behind the curtain of a classic television show. 4. The pink walls of the Addams Mansion. All 64 episodes of The Addams Family were filmed in black and white, which perfectly enhanced the characters' eerie, gothic charm. Morticia's flowing black gown, Wednesday's stark Victorian dress, the shadowy mansion backdrop, these have all become iconic images. Most people picture the Addams house as a dark, gloomy place. And here is where things get interesting. The actual set was surprisingly bright. The walls were painted in vivid shades of pink, seafoam green, red, and turquoise. It sounds completely at odds with the image we carry in our heads, doesn't it? The reason behind this colorful choice was actually quite clever. Because the show was filmed in black and white, those bright, saturated colors created striking contrasts on screen. Contrasts that, paradoxically, helped to deepen that spooky, gothic atmosphere. The show's creator deliberately chose black and white over color, believing it better captured the gothic mood he was after. Looking at color photographs of the set today feels almost like discovering a secret joke. Dark does not automatically mean spooky. In fact, those vibrant colors actively reinforced the show's peculiar, darkly comic sensibility. And it was not just the set. The costumes were designed with a black and white aesthetic in mind as well. Every color choice was intentional, carefully selected to produce a specific effect on screen. It was all part of a wonderfully clever blend of art and technology. 5. Whizzo, a computer ahead of its time. Did you know the Addams Family had their own computer, decades before such a thing was commonplace? The machine was called Whizzo, and it was actually a real UNIVAC computer, a remarkable detail for a sitcom from the 1960s. Whizzo first appeared in the episode where the Addams Family was planning a trip to the moon, and the computer was used to calculate just how much that extravagant adventure would cost. It then made a return appearance in the very last episode of the series, this time helping Gomez with his mayoral campaign.
Whizzo proved just as useful in politics as in space travel, a true technological marvel for its day, even by Addams Family standards. 6. A real-life haunted mansion. You might think the Addams Family house was nothing more than a movie set. Think again. It was a real building located at 21 Chester Place in Los Angeles. The production team dressed it up with special effects and clever camera angles to make it look even more forbidding. But it was a genuine location with a history all its own. The house changed hands many times over the years, and each owner seemed to add another layer to its colorful, sometimes mysterious past. It was almost as though the house itself had a personality, which made it the perfect home for the Addams Family. Sadly, that real-life haunted mansion was demolished in the late 1960s. It felt like more than just a building being torn down. It felt like a loss of history, a place where real stories and fictional ones had intertwined. But even though the physical structure is gone, its image lives on, forever preserved in that iconic opening sequence. 7. Uncle Fester and the Coogan Act. Uncle Fester, despite his rather unsettling appearance, sunken eyes, no eyebrows, is actually one of the gentlest souls in the Addams household. Like his nephew Pugsley, he has a soft spot for comic books, a small but warm detail that adds a surprising layer of humanity to his eccentric character. The actor behind Fester, Jackie Coogan, had one of the most dramatic stories in Hollywood history. Born in 1914, Coogan starred alongside Charlie Chaplin in The Kid in 1921, and the role made him a star overnight. But as he grew older, he discovered that his parents had spent virtually everything he had earned. The legal battle that followed was a very public spectacle, shining a harsh light on the exploitation of child performers. Though the court ultimately ruled in Coogan's favor, he recovered only a small fraction of his earnings. That case directly led to the creation of the California Child Actors Bill, the Coogan Act, in 1939, which established legal protections for child performers and required that a portion of their earnings be held in trust. In 1935, Coogan had also survived a car accident that claimed his father and several others. Despite all of it, he kept working, and eventually found a new kind of success on television as the beloved Uncle Fester. 8. Ted Cassidy's Double Duty, Lurch and Thing.
Ted Cassidy was not just Lurch, the towering, gentle giant of the Addams household. He also played Thing, that mysterious disembodied hand. And that was no small undertaking. Cassidy was exceptionally tall, which made getting just his hand on camera for Thing's scenes a genuine logistical challenge.
To play Thing, Cassidy had to lie on a cart with his arm extended through a hole in a box, completely hidden from view. Ingenious, certainly, but it must have been physically demanding and more than a little uncomfortable. On occasions when a scene required both Lurch and Thing to appear, a different actor would step in to play the hand. It is a reminder of just how much effort went into every corner of this show and how committed everyone involved truly was. Ted Cassidy's contributions are often overlooked, but his dual roles were absolutely central to what made the series work. 9. You rang? An improvised catchphrase. Lurch, the Addams family's butler, was not always the quietly spoken character we remember. He was originally written to be completely silent, but during filming of the very first episode, Ted Cassidy spontaneously delivered 2 words. You rang? The show's creators immediately recognized what they had. It was unscripted, unplanned, and it was perfect.
Those 2 simple words became one of television's most instantly recognizable catchphrases, and they gave Lurch an entirely new dimension. The contrast between his imposing physical presence and his soft, measured delivery became one of the show's most enduring charms. Beyond that, Cassidy's willingness to improvise inspired the other actors to take their own creative risks. One unrehearsed moment genuinely changed the shape of the entire show. 10. Charles Addams, the man behind the family. Charles Addams, born in 1912, had a surprisingly ordinary childhood in Westfield, New Jersey. He was an only child, raised in a loving home, a far cry from the macabre world he would go on to create. He once joked that his upbringing was simply too happy to make for an interesting backstory. Even as a child, though, he loved exploring graveyards and abandoned buildings, playing pranks, and drawing grim little scenes. From a very young age, he was drawn to the darker side of things. In high school, he discovered a gift for illustration and eventually attended art school in New York. While still a student, he made his first sale to the New Yorker in 1932, a window cleaner sketch that earned him $75. His biographer noted that Addams was one of those rare individuals who managed to make a living through art for his entire life. He remained with the New Yorker until the very end, which afforded him a comfortable and glamorous existence. He owned an apartment overlooking a sculpture garden, drove a Bugatti and a Bentley, and was reliably at the top of every dinner party guest list. The Addams Family story began modestly in 1938 with a single-panel cartoon in The New Yorker. That first drawing showed a hapless salesman trying, and failing, to sell a vacuum cleaner to a creepy family in an equally creepy house. It was the beginning of something genuinely unique.
Addams conceived of this family as a darkly comic parody of the ideal American household, his characters finding joy in the morbid and the unexpected, decorating a dead tree for Christmas, borrowing a neighbor's beaker to hold cyanide, perfectly normal Addams Family activities. Readers loved them. Over the course of his career, Addams produced more than 1,300 cartoons for The New Yorker, with 58 of them featuring the Addams family. In an era when print was a primary form of entertainment, these cartoons were both startling and strangely irresistible. The family's real fame exploded in 1964 with the television series, which was an immediate hit and remains remarkably popular today. The show softened some of the sharper edges of the original cartoons, opting for a lighter, more family-friendly tone.
What had started as small comic strips, earning Addams $85 apiece, eventually grew into a multi-million-dollar cultural institution spanning television, film, animation, and beyond. Why is the Addams Family considered a model of an ideal family? When most people picture the perfect household, they think of the Cleavers, or the Bradys, or the Seavers from Growing Pains. But there is a compelling argument to be made for the Addams Family. They may let their children play with dynamite and have a taste for thunderstorms, but think about it. They find beauty and excitement in the world around them. Just a version of beauty that is a little unconventional. They are genuinely happy people, and they celebrate life's oddities with enthusiasm. How many of us can say the same? The Addams Family is surprisingly affectionate. Gomez constantly showers Morticia with compliments. Morticia offers a knowing glance, a quiet invitation. Their passion is palpable.
And look closely, and you will notice they are always subtly touching. A hand on an arm, a quiet, reassuring gesture. When it comes to personal boundaries, they show remarkable respect for each other. If Morticia is not in the mood for affection, Gomez steps back immediately, without resentment. In fact, it is often Morticia who initiates closeness, confident, comfortable in herself, and entirely honest about what she wants. That level of mutual respect and understanding is genuinely rare, even on modern television. Morticia and Gomez disagreed, of course, but their disagreements rarely became arguments. They sat down, talked things through calmly, and looked for solutions together. They were equals, focused on solving problems rather than winning them. It is a quietly remarkable model of partnership. As parents, they were equally exceptional. Their children were well-behaved, bright, and respectful. When Pugsley briefly joined the Boy Scouts, a challenge for everyone involved, his parents did not simply force him to quit. They talked to him, sought guidance, and supported him through the whole process. In the end, he worked through it on his own terms, feeling loved and accepted throughout. And when Wednesday came home in tears over a story in her school book about a dragon being slain, Morticia was immediately at her side. The family responded with conviction, pushing for changes to the curriculum, firmly but without threats or intimidation. The Addams Family might not be the household most people would choose to emulate, but their approach to communication, to partnership, to parenting, it is something genuinely worth admiring. The Addams Family as a pop culture phenomenon. Charles Addams's comic strip, which first appeared in The New Yorker in 1938, was an immediate success.
This wealthy, aristocratic family, with their unusual tastes and morbid sensibilities, lived apart from the ordinary world and were entirely unbothered by what others thought of them. But they were never unkind. In fact, they were remarkably warm and welcoming to everyone they met. At the heart of the family is Gomez Addams, a charming businessman with a love of cigars and a passion for destroying model trains. His wife, Morticia, is powerful, mysterious, and deeply elegant. Their children, Wednesday and Pugsley, are equally singular. Wednesday, chilling and precise in everything she does. Pugsley, enthusiastic and inventive, often both the victim and the willing accomplice in his sister's schemes. The 1964 television series, broadcast in black and white on ABC, is considered the original and foundational version of the story. It was an immediate sensation. The images it created, Morticia in her flowing black gown, Wednesday in her stark Victorian dress, the looming mansion, became iconic. The 1991 film and its 1993 sequel hold a particularly special place in fans' hearts. Starring Angelica Houston, Raul Julia, and Christina Ricci, the first film became an instant classic. Both were nominated for honors from the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and the BAFTAs, a rare distinction for comedies and a testament to the genuine artistic quality of the work.
The 2019 animated film was a welcome return and is considered the most faithful adaptation of Charles Addams's original cartoons, both in visual style and in character. The score was composed by Michael and Jeff Dana. Michael Dana is an Oscar and Golden Globe winner for his work on Life of Pi, and an Emmy winner for World Without End. Jeff Dana is known for his contributions to the Resident Evil film series.
The soundtrack features fresh arrangements of classic Addams Family themes, as well as contributions from Christina Aguilera and Snoop Dogg, who also voiced Cousin It. The film even incorporates a rendition of the theme from Titanic. It earned nearly $130 million worldwide, proving that the appeal of this delightfully strange family shows no sign of fading. The 2022 Wednesday series on Netflix offered yet another interpretation, this time centering on Wednesday Addams herself. While it generated debate among longtime fans, its popularity was impossible to ignore. It consistently topped Netflix's most-watched lists, demonstrating once again that the Addams family's hold on audiences remains as strong as ever. A few more behind-the-scenes details worth knowing. The characters' names, Gomez, Morticia, Wednesday, Pugsley, did not exist in Charles Addams's original cartoons. They were created specifically for the television series. Some of the props and set pieces used on the show were recycled from the film The Unsinkable Molly Brown. John Astin developed a wild-eyed, unsettling expression to deter potential muggers in real life, and then adapted that same look for Gomez, adding considerably to the character's eccentric appeal. Ted Cassidy, who played Lurch, also recorded a novelty song called The Lurch, inspired by his character. And despite its dark humor and morbid sensibilities, the Addams Family was praised by many for its surprisingly positive portrayal of family values, a reminder that even the strangest families can be among the most loving. The Addams Family has appeared on television 6 times and on the big screen 4 times in the United States alone. It has inspired video games, novels, and a stage musical. Vic Mizzy's iconic finger-snapping theme song, composed for the original 1964 series, remains immediately recognizable and has been revisited in nearly every adaptation since. Their imagery is a Halloween staple, and their story, begun as a single, small cartoon panel nearly 90 years ago, continues to resonate with audiences of every generation. The Addams Family endures, and there is something deeply, wonderfully appropriate about that.